Chelmsford, a Group 2. Chris Waller, he's got 9 of the 15 runners and it's got a great history.
This year's Group 2 Chelmsford Stakes is full of intrigue. Now 7, James Cummings's weight for age warrior, Avilius, is back for another big spring.
Avilius moved up, takes the lead.
It's been 17 months
Angel of Truth is well clear
since Angel of Truth's last win. But the Derby winner impressed first up when second in the spring preview. And Zabrowski has his admirers after finishing strongly behind Very Elegant in the Winx Stakes. The Waller Army is headlined by the regally bred Finch, who makes a long-awaited return after a year away from the track.
Finch goes home best to win the Kingston.
And his winner of the Gong last year, Mr. Seawolf, is set for a big spring.
Mr. Seawolf, the wolf.
While the pizza-loving Doncaster hero, Natoya, is back and ready to take on another big scalp.
Natoya cleans them up in the Doncaster.
The 125th running of this time-honoured race is sure to be a beauty.
And Chris Waller's got such a strong hand. 2014, he had the first 6 past the post. There'll be a lot of white bridles to look for this afternoon. When you look at the jockey silks, you like to be riding, Katie?
I think Mr. Seawolf, there's so many horses in this race that obviously have bigger targets in store, but I think Mr. Seawolf, he's had the run under his belt and look, he might be the horse that's actually trained to win the race. Nash Rawilla's on board him. He'll stand over him. He's a really tough, honest horse and yeah, look, I think I would want to be a Mr. Seawolf, but gee, there's so many other horses in this race that are capable of winning.
Bruce, 2014, Chris, the first 6 past the post. He's only 6, different today. Have we tried to put these in order? I don't think it's the most sensible thing to do, but we've tried, haven't we?
I found it really tricky. They're almost a motley lot, Chris. When I say that, I don't mean that derogatory. I mean, it's so hard to get your head around them. So I've gone for the 2 staying type horses, Finch and Ambition. I do see Katie's point of view with Mr. Seawolf and Yulong Prince, but I found this extremely difficult when you asked us, Haim, during the week.
Yeah, same with me, Bruce. They're really just another bunch of horses starting off their preparation, most of them. So not necessarily the best horses are going to finish in the first 4, but the ones that are more adept, like Yulong Prince and Life Less Ordinary at that sort of trip. Maybe even Finch, who can show a little bit of speed in a race at least, in a race devoid of any pace.
There is a chance that none of you have got them right, seeing there's 5 others that have been left out. Let's get to Kathy O'Hara, who's with Lizzie, who rides Finch.
Kathy O'Hara partners up with Finch in the Chelmsford Stakes and she was able to ride him last year. Kathy, he's such a magnificent looking horse. How do you think he's going? Because some of his gallops have been really eye-catching.
Yeah, he's going really good this prep, Liz. He's really settled into Australian life and he's had a long time since his last preparation and I think he just needed that bit of time, you know. He's such a big horse and, you know, they've got to take good care of him because he's a big animal and his legs are under a lot of pressure because he's massive. He's a massive striding horse and like he doesn't take care of himself. He reaches as far as he can reach when he gallops. Like underneath you, he literally takes the longest stride of a horse that I've ever ridden.
He's one of those horses that, as I said, is eye-catching and he has such a great galloping action. Do you think that this race with no speed is going to help him today?
I think so. Look, I rode him in the same race last year and I ended up running just 3rd in the race and well, I was sat 3rd in the race. He ran 5th, but he wasn't beaten far at all. And this year there's a little bit less pressure in front and I think he's going better as well. And like I said, he's really settled into the Australian way of training and life and he's really enjoying himself and his gallop the other morning or the other day between races was as good as it could be, you know. He feels like a different horse this time in. He's much stronger and I think he's going to run a really cheeky race.
You've got Ziva and Emma tomorrow jumping, a day off, but you're still in the saddle.
I will be, yeah. They're going around at Jump Club tomorrow and hopefully one day Finch can come and join them at Jump Club for me. So, yeah, fingers crossed he can win here today and win a couple more races, but then he can join me and my team show jumping.
Always a life after racing for the horses. So we're about to go into the mounting yard. We're going to have a look at a number of these horses. As we said, Chris Waller's had such a lot of runners over the last 5 years. 35 of 63 coming into today, 9 of 15 today. Avilius didn't win last prep. Katie first up today, but didn't really run a bad race last prep.
No, he's such an honest horse, isn't he? He's always around the mark, and I do think that he's a better horse in Sydney, so I'm happy to see him back here. He's a 3-time Group 1 winner, and he is a weight for age performer. He's got a lot of weight to carry, but he was second in this race last year. But here's the horse that we just spoke to Kathy about, Finch. He's going to be forward. He's a really big striding horse, and, you know, I think with the lack of speed in this race, he should be able to maybe sit outside the leader or take it up, and Kathy O'Hara gets along so well with him that if she gets into that nice rhythm, he'll be awfully hard to catch.
Mr. Seawolf, one of the Waller runners, ran okay first up. Sort of heavy track probably didn't suit Bruce.
He did, Haim, and look, he's a solid horse. We know that. He's got a pretty good second up record. He won the Gong over 1600. He hasn't been placed in 4 Randwick 1600 metre races, but he's a live chance. He'll run a good race.
Woogok would love it, wetter and wetter, but...
Yeah. Well, he was winning the Wyong Gold Cup this time last year on the Friday, Haim. Look, he's a fabulous winter horse and a really good wet track. This is not his cup of tea today, I wouldn't have thought. And then the next one, he's interesting, Life Less Ordinary. I mean, he's a bit like Mr. Seawolf. He's just hardy. There he is now. He's tough and hardy. He's won a JRA plate. He's won a Hollandale Cup, a Wagga Cup. He can stay. You know he'll be strong late. I just don't think he can win first up. He has won twice first up with a couple of placings, but I think those odds are about the right odds for him.
Shared Ambition, Katie. J-Mac, Chris Wallace struggled on a very heavy track when resuming, where it was a bit keen in the run.
Yeah, he did. He's a funny horse, and I'd imagine that they would have liked to have drawn a better barrier with him, because he is from 14 going to find himself a fair way back, so he's going to need the speed on, and I just don't think there'll be that much speed. Horse number 10, Angel of Truth. Well, here's some speed. You know that this horse will be forward from that barrier. He'll control the race, and I can see why he's got those short odds after running such a brilliant race in the spring preview first up.
Zabrowski, Bruce, the runner-up in the ATC Derby.
Interesting, Haim. So this is the only 4-year-old in the race. No 4-year-old in the Fian today. Now, generally 4-year-olds, you think so, you think during his 4-year-old career, can be the big weight for age horses. So fascinating horse, this bloke. I think he's got a great chance, and I hope he runs well.
A crowd favourite, Katie, Natoya, the Doncaster winner, loves a beer and a pizza.
Yeah, the pizza-loving mare she is, isn't she? She's hopefully she doesn't get a positive swab. I know that she likes champagne also, Haim. So we'll have to be careful with Wendy Roach. But no, look, I'd imagine she'd need the run.
Okay. Let's get to Benway.
A lot of horses who are resuming, who are only having one run since their first start run, and they look as though there's a bit of improvement in most of them. I'm going with Yulong Prince on top. I thought that he presented, as he always does, in really good shape, but he looks naturally as though he's come to hand quickly. So fitness, I don't think, will be an issue for him. And I think at the each-way odds, he can run very, very well. If I was to put anything else in, Avilius looks fantastic. The best I've seen him first up into a campaign for quite some time. Finch looks forward enough to be effective first up as well, but I'm going with Yulong Prince to cause a bit of a boil over.
Thanks, Lizzie, very much. Ben, a hot horse?
The hot horse had been struggling, Haim, but we got one back last race with Dame Giselle. We're going with Shared Ambition here. It would have been Finch up until probably 5 minutes ago, but Shared Ambition for James McDonald and Chris Waller has been crunched late 9 into 6.50.
Thanks very much, Ben. And Bruce, we've just heard some very sad news that Rick Worthington, a trainer who's done so much with so many horses over the journey, has sadly passed away, and the jockeys will be wearing black armbands.
That is very sad news, Haim. That is a real setback. So Rick, yeah, he was a very popular trainer and a successful one. So our condolences to his family, mate.
So it's time for the Chelmsford. They're all just about loaded. Let's join Darren Flindell.
The red light is on for the Chelmsford Stakes. Racing. Natoya was last out off the inside with Morton's Fork. Now, Woogok wide out jump well. Mr. Seawolf nicely into stride, and Finch is rolling forward. Cariff and Yulong Prince are both handy as Woogok leads comfortably. So Angel of Truth couldn't lead and settles about 6th there in the Cerise Jacket, followed by Miss Sentimental. Life Less Ordinary improving, then came Brimham Rocks. Further back to Natoya on the improve on the inside at Dance. Zabrowski's well back in the field together with Morton's Fork, Shed Ambition. Adnaville Avilius last of all, at least 16 off the lead. So Woogok leads comfortably here, and Mr. Seawolf. Nashua Willer's got him up running second, right in the slipstream of the front runner. 3 off to Finch, 2 further back to Yulong Prince, a length and a half to Cara, further back to Angel of Truth midfield, a length then to Lifeless Ordinary from Miss Sentimental. Bremen Rocks 3 wide, up on the outside of Dance. They're followed by Natoya from Zabrowski in the last 3. Morton's Fork, Avilius all boxed up, and Shared Ambition racing to the turn, and Woogok trying to steal this, really upping the tempo, coming around the turn, and Hieronymus has gone for home, 2 lengths clear. Mr. Seawolf, though, hasn't been asked as yet by Nashua Willer, and there's gas in the tank. Here comes the Wolf. Mr. Seawolf ran past Woogok, then Finch, and further back to Yulong Prince, Angel of Truth, but Mr. Seawolf has broken clear, 2.5 clear. Yulong Prince with a late rally. Mr. Seawolf a length and a half to Yulong Prince. Mr. Seawolf needs the post. He's finding it. Yes, Mr. Seawolf goes on to win the Chelmsford from Yulong Prince. Finch has run third, Avilius fourth, I'd say, then Angel of Truth, Woogok. Further back to Cariff, Zabrowski late from Shared Ambition. Avilius behind them from Dance, Natoya, Miss Sentimental, Lifeless Ordinary, Bremen Rocks, and Morton's Fork.
3, 6 and 2, Waller, and then James Cummings, Bruce.
God, Chris, 1, 2, 3. We're not surprised, hey, are we?
No.
So he wins his Chelmsford for the 6th time. He's 10 behind Tommy, though. He's got some catching up. Gee, he's a good, aggressive rider. Nash, he got right into the slipstream, as Darren said. He was tough. Yulong Prince looked terrific, as Lizzie said. Gee, hasn't Finch got some tactical speed, Katie? And what about Avilius? It was some sort of a run.
Oh, he was so far back, Avilius. I looked at Avilius and Shared Ambition at the corner. I think they were nearly 10 lengths off them. The speed was really set by Woogok in front. But Mr. Seawolf, he was right on his heels the whole way. He's just so tough and so honest. And Finch, he did a really good job to stick on. Gee, you can't miss Finch. He's huge, and that stride on him. And I knew as soon as Yulong Prince came out of the pack, I thought, oh, well, Mr. Seawolf will get home, because I don't think Yulong Prince likes the winning post.
Just listen to Kathy O'Hara before, Katie. If she takes Finch jumping, he's going to jump just about anything he's pointed at. He's enormous, as you say.
Oh, unbelievable. And, yeah, she certainly wants Finch when he retires. And, yeah, well, she jumps 1.20 on her warm bloods. I think he could nearly make it to the top, Haim. He'd nearly make it to the Olympics.
Well, he's enormous, as you're saying. Well done, Lizzie Jelf. Yulong Prince at an enormous price almost gets the job done, Bruce.
No, she's a great judge, Lizzie, but I reckon Katie's right too. He doesn't like to win. He came out of a Johannesburg ready to run. I mean, they come from everywhere, but gee, there were some good runs in the race, there really was. But a great result for Chris and for Nash. I mean, Nash rode 4 winners on this day. He's on Dreamforce and the next. We know he's had his ups and downs in the last week or two, and we know Huey Bowman's not far off coming back as well, speaking of that sort of stuff. But look, Finch was terrific. He can sit on the pace. Avilius might be back.
Yep.
If he gets a wet track, I hope he gets a wet track at some stage this spring, because I reckon he's ready to win again.
Lizzie said never looked better coming into his first up run. Just quickly, we've got to go to a break. How many did TJ win?
16.
How many has Chris now won?
6.
He'll probably do it in about 10 years. He'll probably just go back to back to back to back to back. A quick break. The Fian, it's got a wonderful history. It's next at the Valley. And first, second and third, Nash Rilla rode Mr. Seawolf, but let's hear from Chris.
To win in.
Another lockdown, huh? Thanks, WhatsApp, but I'm not going to do it in these. Because cotton underwear rides up, traps sweat, and chafes. Enough! Introducing Step 1 underwear. These Ultra Glide panels stop chafe and ride up. You buy them online at step1.life. Quack, quack.
You can give a car all the luxuries you want. But when it comes from a long line of race cars, well, the apple doesn't fall far from the racetrack.
The renowned heart surgeon gunned down on his way to work. It shocked most people something like this could happen to such a high-profile person.
3 kidnap attempts, an international manhunt, an extraordinary link to the triad, and the secret kept from the public.
It's not often that you get that type of evidence left at a crime scene.
Will be revealed.
Crime Investigation Australia, Sunday 8:30 on 7.
Wait for age group 2, the mile at Randwick. Chris Waller has trained first, second and third. Nash Rilla rode Mr. Seawolf, but let's hear from Chris.
An amazing horse at 9 years of age to do that today, Chris.
Yeah. It's a pretty special race, wasn't it?
It was. Now, let me explain to people, Rick Worthington, a very close friend of yours, we've just learnt that that Rick has passed away and you're doing it a bit tough today.
Yeah, all the trainers found out about half an hour ago and it was just an air of silence. And yeah, to lose a man like Rick, it's very sad, too young.
You've known him ever since you come across from New Zealand?
Yeah, he's the first one to help someone out if someone's doing it tough, and he's done it tougher than anybody in the last few years, and he'd be the last one to show it. And yeah, it's a sad day. Everyone said how popular he is, and we don't get to see how popular he is behind the scenes amongst his mates at Warwick Farm. Yeah, he's a tough man, and that's how he will be remembered by all of us and so many people outside of racing as well that he would have touched throughout his life. And a fantastic horseman, and just a dedicated man to horses in his life. And yeah, at least we've won a race to have a bit of a smile.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Mr. Seawolf can pay tribute to Rick today. Well done.
Thank you.
Chris Waller.
He's always been emotional, Bruce, hasn't he? When Winks was winning, he found it hard to find his words, and when a mate passes away, naturally we see Chris hugely emotional again.
And Rick had been ill for some time and he is so young. And Haim, look, just reading off a text that Nick sent me, these are the horses that he broke in, Rick Worthington. He broke in Exceed and Excel, and Costa del Lago, Schnitzel, Flying Spur and Miss Finland. I mean,
wow.
Can you believe it? No. He had White Friars himself, the trainer. He won a couple of Group 2s, including the Salinger up the straight on Derby Day and the Australia Stakes at Moonee Valley. But to have the ability to break in those horses that have changed the history of Australian racing, and you just saw Chris there. So, you know, we're all sort of tearing up a bit, but too young, and what a legacy he leaves.
Yeah, great to see Chris remember a friend, and well, 1, 2 and 3, and Rick will be watching on, pretty proud of Chris, I think, too. So we're going to turn our attention to the Fian. We've got an opportunity for a horse to win and go through to the Cox Plate with that win. Surprise Baby wants to go to the Cox Plate and then the Melbourne Cup. It's a race with so much history. It was first run in 1949.
The Group 2 John Fian Stakes is named after the original landowner of where the Moonee Valley Racecourse is now located. But from 2005 to 2018 was named the Dato Tan Chin Nam Stakes.
Dato Tan Chin Nam away.
Run over 1,600 metres at weight for age, the winner now receives a golden ticket into the Cox Plate. Recent winners include El Segundo, Happy Trails and a Tassie colt horse.
And the Cleaner jumps well.
The Cleaner was a popular winner in 2014.
But the Cleaner won it, the Cleaner by a length, Mourinho.
And again in 2015.
And too good for them, the Cleaner by 2 lengths to Bagman Dibiani.
Icons of the Australian turf. Better Loosen Up, Sunline and Northerly all took out the Fian Cox Plate double.
Away, and Fiorente jumped pretty well.
While Fiorente won the 2013 renewal on his way to Melbourne Cup glory.
Here's Fiorente storming, Spacecraft still hanging on, Ladari dives with Fiorente! Fiorente the outside, I reckon he's nailed him.
Well, Emily summed it up really well, Bruce. Some wonderful horses have won and gone on to do wonderful things that spring, and I think you want to take us back to 1954.
And this is the first horse to do the double, Haim. We talk about the ticket in today. This is the first horse to do it, Rising Fast. So he wins the Fian and the Cox Plate. Has there been a better spring, Haim? I don't think so. Farlap in 1930, Mackay Diva 05, Think Big 2010. I reckon this is the best spring any horse has ever had. Rising Fast in 54, a Fian, and then the Turnbull wasn't a Group 1 at the time, but the Caulfield Stakes. He's the only horse in the history of Australian racing to win a Caulfield Cup, Cox Plate and Melbourne Cup in the one spring. And the only other horse to win the 3 is Might and Power. He did that over 2 springs. He also won 3 races in Melbourne Cup week, the McKinnon, the Melbourne Cup, the Fisher Plate. Ivan Tucker trained him at the time. Jack Purtell rode him like that. I feel is the greatest spring in Australian racing. That New Zealand Nettie. There you go, in 1954, winning the Fan.
So 8 starts, 8 wins, and that was it right there.
It's quite remarkable. He may have had a lead-up run. I'd have to double-check that, but they're the feature race wins. Could you imagine, Haim, a horse doing that today? It's just quite remarkable what he achieved. And then he came back the next year and won the Caulfield Cup. Should have won the Melbourne Cup. They didn't protest, and Neville Selwood got time. I think he got 2 months on top of Rowe, who beat him. He should be the only horse to win 2 Caulfield Cups and 2 Melbourne Cups.
Wow. Always nice to get a history lesson on a Saturday afternoon, rising fast. We'll check whether it was 8 from 8 in that campaign. Nick Egan will go to the history books for us. To the Atlantic Jewel, Craig Williams, who's in terrific